besties, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be talking about all the books that are on my March TBR because Instagram stories help me pick it. If you don't know, I do have a bookstagram. It's just Angela the Page Princess. I'll put it right here. But basically I went on there and I took pictures of two books, and it was like I took 3 pictures of 2 books, and for every 2 books I created a poll. And for those polls I kind of drew over the book, that way you couldn't tell what I was reading, and I did little emojis that were describing the book, and people who follow me on Instagram, basically they voted on the poll, and then they would get to see what books I read for March. I obviously got inspired by this idea by the Queen, Sarah Cara Lee. I don't know her personally, but I love her bookish content. Like, every time she comes out with a new video, I just eat it up. She honestly has given me a lot of inspiration to make my own YouTube channel and talk about books because uh, I love her so much and she's amazing. So yes, go watch her because this is not my own original idea. I don't know if she came up with it, but I'm pretty sure she did because she's the only other booktuber that I've seen do this. So yes, all credit goes to her, but let's get into it. Okay, so because I am recording this on my phone, I wrote it down in this journal. But the first poll was a fairy, snowflake, and a crown, and that was for The Memory of Babel, which I actually have physically on my bookshelf. It's just right here. This is the third book in the Mirror Visitor series, and I just finished the second book. And if you didn't see my last video, which was my January to February wrap up, I recommend go watching that because I talked a lot more about this book series. But I love this book series so much. I love the Mirror Visitor series. I eat up every single one of the books. Honestly, I'm probably gonna make a separate video about all these books one day because they're just that good and so amazing. And I love Christelle Davos, and I would love to meet her. But unfortunately, this book did not win the poll, and I honestly don't think that a lot of people guessed what this book was in the poll because I don't think I did a very good job at picking emojis. Like, the crown was because they're kind of royalty in this book, and the snowflake because the setting of this book is an icy pole, and the fairy does not make any sense. I don't know why I did a fairy because there is no fae in this book. It's just I was like, oh, magic. You know what I should have done? Hold on, I'm putting it back on my shelf. What I should have done is I should have done a mirror, and then I should have done a snowflake, and then a castle. I feel like that would have made so much sense, or something to do with memory, like a brain maybe, because it's called The Memory of Babel. I don't know. This is also my first time kind of doing the whole poll thing on Instagram, so really did a bad job. Honestly, I was like, gosh, are people gonna be thinking that I'm talking about Wings of Starlight or is something in ACOTAR? I've never read ACOTAR, but I feel like it might go with that vibe, and I'm like, nope, it's The Memory of Babel. I just did a really bad job at picking emojis, but thank you guys for still helping me pick the emojis because that was the book. And then the next one was a fairy, an elf potion, and then I think a little star that had to do with magic. And this one was for Nightfall, which is the 6th book. I had to count my other books. It's the 6th books in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series. I love the Keeper of the Lost City series. If you guys don't know, basically what these book series is about, it's about this girl named Sophie, and it's kind of like a Harry Potter story, kind of, because she is this human and she gets dragged into this elf world, and in this elf world she's kind of like the chosen one, and she's kind of destined to save it, and she meets this group of friends who are also elves, and she has to go to this school of magic where she has to learn about elven powers. So it's kind of Harry Potter-esque, but honestly I would say it's a little bit darker than Harry Potter at times. I think that there's a lot of themes in this book that have to do with politics and religion and prejudice, which I think Harry Potter does that too. I just feel like these books kind of do it more, if that makes any sense. But overall, in the poll, Nightfall won for this one. I think I did a pretty good job of picking emojis. The potion was because I was like, okay, first of all, it was really hard because I was like, okay, an elf makes sense because it's about elves. And then the little star magic emoji, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that little emoji, it's for magic because like they practice magic, so like I feel like that kind of makes sense. And then for the potion, like for anyone who's read this series, there's this character named Dex, and he like makes little magic potions because that's one of his like skills in the story. And I was like, oh, like maybe that makes sense. You know what I should have done though? I should have done like maybe like a school, or maybe like an ogre and orc, because like those are kind of like one of the main parts of the story. Or maybe I should have done something to do with night because it's nightfall. I really, again, like this was kind of hard to pick emojis for this book, and I'm pretty sure most people again thought I was reading Akatar, because when I like said on my Instagram like, oh, can you guess what this is, a bunch of people were like, Akatar? And I was like, no, I've never read Akatar, and I probably don't really plan on ever reading it. It's Nightfall. Keeper Lost. So yeah, sorry to confuse anyone. Did not pick the best emojis, but overall, I'm honestly really, really glad that Nightfall won, because I need to finish this series so badly. I started this series when I was 14 years old. I'm now 20, almost 21 in June, and I still have not finished this series. And I know. In fairness, there's like over 10 books in the series, so I feel like it kind of makes sense as to why I haven't finished it yet. But also, like, I don't really like endings, and I don't like leaving my comfort characters behind, and I feel like there's a lot of comfort characters in this book, Keith Sincine especially, and so I've just had a really, really hard time finishing it. I've also had a really hard time being motivated to finish it, so I'm just really, really glad that, like, this book won over The Memory of Babel, because I need to finish it. And yes, I do need to finish the Mirror Visitor series also, but I feel like this one kind of takes priority. And it's kind of nice, like, it's been really nice, like, revisiting my comfort story and my comfort character. Like, I'm getting a lot of nostalgia while reading this, because I'm like, oh, like, yes, I remember these characters. Like, this book is really just like a lot of found family and like characters that I love, and I probably will never ever stop loving. So yes, if you have not read either of these series, The Mirror Visitor or Keeper of the Lost Cities, I highly recommend. And I'm very happy that Keeper of the Lost Cities won altogether. Right. The next poll that I did was a fairy, elf, and sorry, it was wings, a star, and a fairy. And then under that, it was a chess piece and a little like dice rolling piece. And I think a lot of people probably guessed the wings, the star, and the fairy. It was Wings of Starlight. I have not read this book yet, mostly because I didn't know it was clean when it first got published. I thought it was gonna be another like romantic fairy book that wasn't very clean, but I recently found out that it was clean, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. It's fairies. This feels like the perfect like March to April read, because it feels very spring. And I was like very happy that, I found that out, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna put it on my poll. And I was hoping that people voted for this book so badly, but they did not vote for it. The little chess piece and the dice one, and if you couldn't guess, that was The Final Gambit by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And again, I'm not like unhappy that The Final Gambit won. It's just I was more in the mood to read Wings of Starlight over The Final Gambit. So, you know, I'm a little sad that The Final Gambit won, but again, like, I still love the Inheritance game series, and I feel like I'm kind of in a post reading slump, so I kind of like need a fast paced read to like, pick up along the way. So like I'm not too mad about it. I think I'm okay with the fact that The Final Gambit won, and I think I'm gonna have a really fun time reading it. For those of you who don't know, uh, the Wings of Starlight is basically I believe it's like a Tinkerbell retelling of like, that the movie, what is it called? The the fairy, the Tinkerbell movie about her sister and Tinkerbell, and like they have to like cross the border. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me. And then you get like the backstory of like the Lord of the Ice World, and then like the Lord of the main fairy world, and it's like kind of like their romance story. For the life of me, I cannot remember the name of this movie, and it's killing me, but it is one of the best Tinkerbell movies ever, and it's basically a romance retelling of it, and I really, really wanted to read it because of that reason, but it's okay. And the Inheritance games is super fun. It's basically this whole series about Avery Kylie Grahams, and one day she kind of goes from rags to riches. She randomly gets this letter in the mail where she inherits all this money of this old man's estate after he died, and nobody knows why she inherited this because she's not related to the family at all. And she meets this group of brothers called the Hawthorne brothers, and they kind of like go on this adventure to like figure out why she inherited all this money. It's a really really fun time, and I'm really honestly glad that I'm finishing this series because like I feel like it's gonna be really fun to finish the final gambit. I finished uh the Hawthorne Legacy last year and had a really fun time with it. So really hope this is going to be good. I hope it's going to be another 5-star read. All right, and then the next poll I created was a dragon, a fire, little fire piece, a sword, and then a school. And this one was Flame Theory by CFE Black. I think a lot of people thought that this was not Onyx Storm. What is that book called? Fourth Wing. Again, guys, my brain isn't working today. A lot of people probably thought that that book was Fourth Wing because it had the dragon in the school. I haven't read Fourth Wing, and I really want to, but because it has spice in it, I can't. And I've just been like really, really craving a book about like a dragon that is kind of like Fourth Wing. And this book sounded like it was right up my alley. When I read the description, it said it was mafia, romance, fantasy, and How to Train Your Dragon vibes, which is like everything I love. I'm actually rewatching How to Train Your Dragon: Race to the Edge. I love like a good mafia story. I love some romantasy, so I'm very very happy to read this. And then the next emoji was a spade. It's kind of like this girl with blonde curly hair, a wand, a star, which is kind of supposed to represent magic, and a Ferris wheel. And I think a lot of people knew what this was. This was Legendary, which is the second book in the Caraval series. I really, really, really desperately badly need to finish the Caraval series because I want to finish. I want to read, I mean, Once Upon a Broken Heart. I keep seeing Once Upon a Broken Heart everywhere. I see it everywhere. And I like every single time I'm like, oh, like I need to read that. I need to read that, but I need to. So many people tell me like you need to finish Caraval first because you won't be able to understand Jax and you won't be able to understand him and Evangeline's love story if you don't read Caraval first. And I'm like, fine, I'll finish the Caraval series. But it's just like my self control is like, but like I want to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I think the reason I don't want to finish Caraval is because like I like Scarlet over Tella, and apparently the rest of the books in the Caraval series are from Tella's point of view, and I'm just like, like I don't know, like I'm scared I'm gonna find it boring and like not find it super interesting, but I'm probably still gonna read it eventually. One day, I'm gonna read it. I am gonna read these books. For those of you who don't know, like I said, Flame Theory is basically just like from the summary, it sounds like this girl who kind of works in the stables at this like dragon place, and then she one day meets this guy who's kind of like the prince, and um he basically like kind of wants her to go undercover in this school to like learn how to ride a dragon and learn how to train dragons so she can kind of like spy on the elites a little bit. It sounds really really interesting, and it sounds like it has How to Train Your Dragon vibes, and I really really love it, and I'm excited. I'm so excited to read it. And Caraval is basically a series about Tella and her sister Scarlet, and they are one day whisked away to this magical island, and there is like this game there on this magical island, and this game involves a lot of like riddles and puzzles, and it's kind of like, how do I describe it? It's kind of like this very magical realm, and while you're there, like you kind of forget what's real and what's not real. I feel like there's a lot more to this story. I'm not really giving the description a lot of justice. It's kind of hard to describe these books too. I feel like you kind of have to like go into it blind to like really understand what it's about, if that makes any sense. But both of these sounded really, really good. And I think that's why it was a 50-50 poll on Bookstagram, which, you know, I don't really blame people because I feel like, again, most people probably thought, oh, it's a book about dragons. That sounds really good. And this is Legendary. That also sounds really good. So overall, I chose to read Flame Theory over Legendary, which I know I was literally just complaining a minute ago about how I need to finish the Caraval series, but I'm choosing to read a different book. I know. I just like I'm in such a mood to read a book about dragons, and this book has How to Train Your Dragon vibes, and like I said, I'm rewatching How to Train Your Dragon, and I just like I need the vibes. I need the vibes. I need the setting. I need the mood. But honestly, I might flip-flop because it was a 50-50 and I might end up reading Legendary anyway if I'm like in the mood to read it. I'm just not in the mood to read it yet. I honestly need somebody to like force me to finish this series. I need somebody to force me. I have the first book on my shelf, and I really, really need to get the other books physically. And I also want to get the Once Upon a Broken Heart books physically because they look so pretty. Like every time I see them displayed on other people's shelves, I'm just like, oh, they look so pretty. But yes, that was a 50-50 poll. Probably am going to read Flame Theory first, and then maybe move on to Legendary. Possibly, most likely will. All right, so those are all the books. It was only 3, but like I said, I really don't want to force myself to read a lot of books in 1 month because I did do the math, and if I read 2 books for every month, by the end of the year, I'll have 25 books done, and my goal is 26, and that's really good. And last month I read 6 books, so that means that I read 1 more book a month than I was planning to, so I'm already like kind of ahead of the curve. And I really just want to like say this because I feel like a lot of people feel pressured to like kind of make videos like this where it's like the Instagram stories or like videos that are like the reading wrap ups where they feel like they have to read 17 books in a month, and I'm like, realistically, nobody has time to read 17 books in a month. Like, I think we have to read what we're comfortable with, and I'm comfortable reading 2 to 3 books a month. I might read more, it just depends, but I think realistically I just don't have time for that, and I don't want to slump myself out. But either way, I think I'm gonna have a really fun time with it, and I'm really glad that I have this community, and this was really fun. It was really, really fun, like creating the polls and making the little emojis. I've never done it before, so yeah, thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe, and keep following me on my journey. Bye.